You are now plugged into the Social Plug Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? You are plugged in to the Social Plug Podcast, where we are always connecting you to level up. Welcome to episode 4. So today we got a special guest. But before I introduce my special guest, we got our engineer, J-Rock. What's going on, J-Rock?
What's up, brother?
Special guest, Dylan Shively, entrepreneur.
What's up, guys?
Badass, hard worker, passion guy, all kinds of stuff. We'll introduce you here in a few. Formally introduce you in a few. Today's podcast is sponsored by Top Flight Realty Group. They serve you and help your family fulfill their real estate goals and needs with trust, faith, and confidence. You can find them in the San Antonio area on Google and on all social media platforms, and also at topflightrealtygroup.com. So Dylan, J-Rock, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man.
So J-Rock, what do you got going on?
Man, just to talk about Top Flight, man, I'm ready to be like y'all gentlemen, be on the rise of real estate.
Level up, my man.
Been working on that. Went and saw some wrestling yesterday. At the Moody Center in Austin, so I'm all pumped up for the weekend.
Pumped up like Hulk Hogan. Ooh, yeah, brother. So we got Dylan Shively here. I know he's drinking his drink over here. Let me
The
let
drink
him.
I'm not allowed to show.
Yeah, no logos. We want sponsors, baby. We want sponsors around here.
Sponsor me. I need that 99 cents.
That's right.
The Twisted Tea. How do those guys maintain 99 cents, man? That's always the question.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. This is the only thing that didn't suffer from inflation. Still 99 cents. That's why I buy it, and it tastes really good. Please sponsor me.
But shit, everything else is up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everything. Absolutely everything is disgusting.
It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
I have the conversations a lot because sometimes you'll hear people say, like, this is more expensive, this is more expensive. And I get it. We all know, like, food's more expensive, eggs more expensive, like everything went up. But sometimes people are missing the piece of, well, what can I do to combat it? Right. So this is where, like, a lot of my credit conversations wind up happening.
All right. So you were in credit repair.
Yes.
So
yes.
let's say that
let's
you're
go there.
you're the credit repair king.
Yeah.
You help people. You're very resourceful.
Mhm.
You bring a lot of value to people. And we'll talk about those things. How are you resourceful? How do you help people with credit repair? And how do you do everything else? So we introduced you as a credit repair king.
Yeah.
So come on,
That's
king.
a big title.
Come on, king. Bring it. Bring it.
So, like, the whole idea of what I try to do, like the efforts that I try to make every day is just try to make people a little bit better. And I'm not saying that anybody's not good, right? Because some people hear the terms, and some of the more weaker minds are like, what do you mean get better? Do you think you're better than people? I don't, So, like, just full disclosure there, like, I don't think I'm better than people, but I know what I'm good at. And I feel like it would be super disrespectful to people. And I want to be fulfilling my potential or obligation to help people get better if I kept everything I knew to me. So I like sharing a lot of the information, which is why I teach the classes inside of real estate, outside of real estate, to anybody who really wants to learn. Because when you have that aha moment, that can change the entire trajectory of how you live. Right. So, like, that's my idea. That's my concept. That's what I live for. That's what I get up for every day is, what can I take something new that I learned, give it to somebody? And it may even be something they heard before, but sometimes it's like, like your kids, you can say something to them, but somebody says the same thing and all of a sudden they get it. And you're like, yo,
that shit happens all the time.
Like, I told you the same shit. How do you get it now? And, so I feel like I just want to be one of those resources. Like, if I could give information and it helps you get better and it improves the quality of how you live and how you go about your day to day, that was a good day for me.
So I'm very impressed. I see you on social media. You're all over the place. And we'll talk about social media and how important it is here in a bit and some of the events you had. But I'm very intrigued by you and your presence in a lot of these real estate classes, or even non-real estate classes. You go around informing people, and people flock to these classes because they know they're informative and they know they're going to learn a golden nugget. So a lot of times they might have heard it before, but just like you said, they want to hear it from you because you foot stomp a lot of stuff. All right. And there's a lot of people, I'm in real estate, so there's a lot of people that can't get a home because they have a low credit score. They're right on the cusp. And I'm unable to help them, so I send them over to you. And what's the name of your agencies?
So we have two. So James Warren Group is the primary company. Then, like with the shirt I'm wearing today, is Dispute Eagle, which we could get more into that later. Quick 5 seconds. It is a DIY software for people who don't want to hire a credit repair company, and we make the credit repair aspect easy inside even the consumer's hands, so you don't have to be an expert to do it.
And you got a whole team doing that.
Yeah. So for James Warren Group, we have 48 employees. For Dispute Eagle, since it is a DIY, we just have 2 virtual assistants that manage some of the communication, but everything else is up to the client.
I love that, man.
That's awesome.
Helping people is what it's all about.
Yep. That's the idea.
And so you not only help them repair their credit, but you help them with opportunities after they repair their credit, from buying a home, buying a vehicle, getting a loan, getting themselves back on their feet, and staying on that high road.
Yep.
And I'm sure you give them nuggets of here, stay responsible, and you hopefully you hold them accountable.
Yes. So that's kind of more what we say. So we're like the accountability partner.
Okay.
Right. So throughout the process, I'm going to tell you a lot of shit that you don't want to hear. And it's some of the things that you do know already, but again, you need somebody to tell you. So I relate a lot of what we do in credit repair to fitness. So everybody knows what it takes to get abs, right? Diet and exercise, do it over a long period of time. Eventually they're going to come. But the reason that a very small percentage of people have them is because it's not the knowledge and the know-how that's the power, it's the execution piece.
Right.
And if you hire a trainer at a gym, the trainer now becomes your accountability partner, and they're going to correct your form. They're going to make sure you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing inside the gym the right way. But what the trainer does not have is the ability to control what you eat when you leave, and what the quality of your sleep looks like, and how much water you intake, and any additional supplements that you take. They can give recommendations, but it's up to you to actually do the shit outside of there. It's the same thing with credit, because there's a lot of marketing concepts and tactical things people try to do to sell people their services for credit repair. Do it this way, it's going to happen super fast, and they make all these promises. And that's not the reality of it. They say, hire us and we're just going to do everything. You kick back, don't do shit. Well, our message is completely different. Actually, most of your progress in credit repair is based on the things you do, because don't forget, it's your credit.
Right.
So you got yourself in this situation. We're going to show you how to get out. And we don't really focus too much on the scores. We focus on the actions that drive the scores. And I think that's one of the biggest
sporadic spending.
Right.
Living off credit cards. And today, it's a little challenging.
Yeah.
Because we just talked about earlier, inflation.
Yep.
You got shit that's freaking chicken that's $18.
Yeah. And it used to be like 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I went to Church's Chicken the other day, and that's opposite of fitness, right? Church's Chicken. Hey, they got those great fries. And the biscuits with anyway. So
sponsor us.
For a family of 4, it was like $40.
Yep.
I'm like, holy shit, man.
You know what's worse than that? When you DoorDash it.
Oh, geez, it's even worse, right? You got to pay like an extra $12, $15.
Yeah. But so that's probably one of my vices where I spend so irresponsibly, because I'm obsessed with paying for convenience.
Yeah, I think I'm that person too, man. I
tell myself, all right, I'm about to eat an extra $12. Man, this fucking sucks. But in that 40 minutes I'm going to save, what can I do to make more than $12 so I can validate the spending of the $12? Which kind of, that's what I'm trying to teach the people. That's what I was trying to say earlier with, it's not just about, hey, everything costs more. We only think about how can I afford it, not how can I go make more to offset the cost of the inflation. Because here's the reality: the prices are going to keep going up for things. Yeah. But if you don't change your income level, then that's where you get put into these situations. So you have to take risks on things, whether it's a side hustle, whether it's starting the business you always wanted to do, going full-time with the business that you were doing part-time. I don't know everybody's situation, but those are examples. We think about, how can I save more to afford what's out there? I want to change people's mind into how can I earn more so then that way I can still live comfortably and live that essential rich life. Like I said, my vice is DoorDash because I'll pay for the convenience. So I don't spend money in clothes and other things like that. I spend my money on DoorDash because I like the convenience of keeping everybody home, being productive, and saving that time, even if it's not money related. It's, hey, that's another 30, 40 minutes that I get to spend with the kids,
Right.
you know, or spend with my wife or go do something. So to me, I have a super high, you know, value on that. And,
Right.
and again, that's just me. So
DoorDash is a side hustle too.
yeah, I know.
You
Yeah.
mentioned side hustles. A lot of people have side hustles today.
Yeah. So
it's all over the place.
yeah, but man, and it's crazy because it could go down so many different things here. But it's like because I like the side hustle initially, but also the problem is if you spread yourself too thin doing too many things, well, you never become good at anything.
Right.
You know, because how could you be good at it if you give it the equal amount of time as something else?
Right.
There's no way that you can split that up. And obviously that's a whole different conversation. But man, the way my ADHD is set up, I could talk about like 17 different things in one sentence.
So you and I have a lot of great conversations.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: what sets you apart, man?
I don't give up. I wouldn't say like there's nothing that is unique to me that somebody else couldn't do. So when I'm saying the not giving up, I identify that as like a skill, or I register it as a skill. So I know I'm not the best, so I constantly work towards it. And I know perfection doesn't exist, but I could work on excellence. And the things that I say today and the things that I do today, I understand that I constantly have to improve those, even if it's 1% per day. So I won't give up. I'll constantly learn. And I always come from a place of wanting to help people. And so far, once I've made that decision and I committed to it, which that started roughly about 4 years ago, that's when everything else changed for me. Like when I switched from what's in it for me to how can I help the person first and worry about me later, that's how I got taken care of faster, if that makes sense. So
what brought you into being that person? Like, was it something that you thought like you were going through as young? Was it something that maybe you just wanted to just grow up and help people? Like what?
So a little bit of a background when it came to my like W-2 life. So I call it like my like business owner life and my W-2 life.
I love that.
So like in my W-2 life, I was in car sales. I did that for about 6 years. And then I transitioned from car sales over into retail. And I did retail for it was just about 3 years. And so I was at Verizon and I was a store manager, worked my way up, became a managing partner, bought my own store. They like let you share equity and stuff like that. So that was like my real big dip into like being a business owner, right? So in those years of helping people buy cars and convincing people to buy phones, you know, and like their kids come in and like we make the kid hold the iPad and we're like, oh, you want to leave with that, right? You know, like, and, you know, you just came in there to pay your bill and shit. So through that time, there's been plenty of times where people have been denied for stuff that they needed. I mean, I can tell you stories that are absolutely crazy that you wouldn't really think about. Damn, I didn't realize it was that impactful. I thought it was just a transaction. And through the car sales side, and then even through the retail wireless side, I've had so many experiences there where I was like, man, I got to do something. You know, like there's more for me than this. And as I learn more, when I was actually able to help people, which it's funny, it wound up being the business owners. I liked doing business accounts on the wireless side and figuring out their situation. When you have a small business owner that's like, yeah, we're all using our personal phones and you know, this is how we send them a little bit of money to pay for theirs because that's an employee benefit. And, you know, but you look at the total cost, like there's all these things that would happen. And I'm like, what if we do this, and you pay less, everything's connected, everybody gets brand new devices, and it actually helps and it costs you less money and it makes you more efficient because everything's new and under warranty.
And we all win.
Right. And so when I started like connecting those dots, or like, for example, when the single mom would come in and she's trying to buy a car for her and her kids, because this one's about to fall the fuck apart. And I can convince the used car manager to be like, hey, can you just eat it this one time and just pay her a little bit more? So then that way she can make the payment that she can actually afford. Like, can we just not convince this one to pay $100 more a month? You know, then like what, like, and so when those things would happen, it's like, man, this is fucking cool.
Oh yeah.
right? So then that's kind of that
Yeah, and you're waiting for them.
accumulation of scenarios over time is where I started to get more obsessed with the how can I actually help and not just do the bare minimum to get me paid.
Dude, you were putting out
Yeah.
fires
Yeah,
and you were helping these families and you were doing it just effortlessly.
yeah,
So you were a problem solver before you even figured that you were going to be in,
right,
credit repair and
right,
beyond.
right. Credit repair only came because when I did that transition from car sales over to Verizon, well, obviously that was a huge pay cut. And then especially having a buy-in to share equity. Well, guess what? With P&Ls, you share both the profits and the losses, right? So, money was coming out of my pocket. The cushion that I had started to deplete itself. So I was looking for money and I was spending on cards and maxing cards out. I had a car repoed, I had credit cards closed. So my credit went bad. Short version, I hired a company. They promised me the world. And about $2,000 later and 150 points less than when I enrolled with them, I was like, fuck you guys. I'm out. I'll eat the 2K. I'm going to figure this out myself.
Right.
Wow.
Then I went into problem solving mode, got my shit going, and it was all just to fix my own. But as you know, with social media, I do post a lot and I'm very vulnerable because I want to be relatable. Like, even as a credit guy, everybody's going to sit and think, well, man, this guy's got probably like a perfect 850. Let me tell you, I got a really good score, but it's not an 850. And I mean, my wife is actually a lot closer, and that's another funny story. But
Oh, how's that competition going?
oh, it's horrible because I lose, right? So like,
Hey, your wife is amazing as well,
she is
Theano.
absolutely,
And I always kid. I was like, who's the lion in this relationship? And
yeah,
it just all depends on the situation, I think.
yep, yeah,
Right?
no, it does,
So before we talk about social media, let's talk about that.
yeah,
What's the dynamic with you and Theano? Because you guys are a power couple,
yeah.
definition power couple, right? And they're two lions, and you guys get after it, helping
Mhm.
people. So tell us about that dynamic.
Yeah, so I mean, so it's funny how we met was the store that I bought was in the same plaza, just like this, like how it's a plaza.
Mhm.
It was in the same plaza as the bank that she worked at. So when I was going to buy the property, I said, well, I have a car that I could sell that I can make enough money to where I can buy the store, or I could go borrow money at the bank, whatever. I went into that bank and she was my loan officer for the transaction. And
Then she said, "My man, you need to fix your shit."
no, so the funny thing, like it wasn't great. It was getting better, right? It was a
Okay.
lot better than what it was, but it still wasn't that great. And she worked at a smaller, like conservative bank,
Mhm.
so naturally they have higher rates and stuff like that. So she's like, "You can get it," but I think the rate was going to be like 9 or 10% or something like that. I was like, "Fuck that! Like, I'm not doing that."
Mhm.
Again, then the salesperson in me, because I was already at the store at this time, I was a district manager. I ran all their Pennsylvania locations, and in the process of buying this store. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to sell the car. It's no interest. I'll lose the car. I'll buy it again. It's no big deal. And I'm not paying it was like 9% or whatever. I was like, I'm not doing it. So I left her my card and I happened to notice her phone. And at the time it was like an older Samsung or whatever. And I was like, hey, I'm just curious. Who are you with? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, your phone. Who are you with? And she's like, oh, I got to get Sprint. Or I have a Sprint.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, you got to sprint the fuck up out of that thing
Yeah.
and let's get you over to Verizon. Like, right. So then she was like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, hey, we're going to have some promos and whatever. Like, I'll hook it up. And she's like, okay. Left her my card. The whole intent was like, I'll wait for her text. And then I got her number and, so she ain't text me for shit. So I'm like waiting and, a couple days go by and I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, all right, I did something. I don't know what it is. So then I'm facilitating the store. I sell the car. I buy the store and I'm getting ready to go there. Now I'm moving there. It's about a month later. I go back into the bank. I'm like, I wonder if that girl's still there. And so I went back to the bank and I was like, oh, is Deanna here? And they're like, yeah, she's here. So I was like, hey, I just want to stop in and let you know, I did buy the store. I'm officially here. I appreciate you helping me, whatever. And now that I own the store, like, what's up with the phone? What are we doing? And she was like, oh, yeah, we could talk about it, but, I'm busy at work and stuff. And I was like, that's fine. I was like, hey, I was, I was looking for your text, whatever. Did you like lose my card or whatever? And she goes, oh, no, it's right here.
Oh man!
And I was like,
you still had.
Were you ever gonna call?
right.
Or text?
So I was
Hey, at
like,
least you still
oh.
had it though,
Yeah,
right? At
but
least you still had
But it was like right there, easy, accessible to the like, oh, no, I had it and had no intent of texting you or calling you. And I was like, fuck. I was like, all right, whatever. So she eventually came to the store. We swapped it over, and then she was like, "Oh, this is what she finally texted me." She's like, "Oh, I just want to say thanks for the phone, blah blah blah." And hey, you did say that you were new here because I was new to the area. It was just over 2 hours away. So I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "I don't know where to go, whatever." She's like, "Well, hey, me and my friends are going out. If you want to come, you can tag along." And I was like, "Cool." Then that was a complete fucking setup because she said her and her friends. Right. And I show up and it's her and her one friend. And I'm like, this is an interview. Like,
because they had already talked about it and schemed before. And
Oh yeah.
all right. So I'm gonna
I'll
check.
go hang
I'll
out.
listen to them. We're gonna ask
Exactly.
you crazy questions.
Exactly. Yep.
Let's get
And-
a feel of him, all that
Yep.
good stuff.
So now, obviously, fast forward now, like I find out like that was like her best friend since growing up. So
Okay.
I mean, to this day, she won't admit it, but I'm like, nah, you fucking set me up. Like that was an interview. And she's like, no, all my friends were supposed to come. They just happened to all not show up, but her.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, so that's how we met. Then she was at the bank. She her main goal was she wanted to be a branch manager.
Okay.
That was like her like whole like fucking life accomplishment is I want to run a branch because I got in there with like no degree, no nothing, and I worked my ass off to get there. And I want to, I'd be super proud to get there, which she did wind up accomplishing.
That's
So and the crazy thing is when she got the role as the branch manager, she probably wasn't in that role for any more than 4 months. And obviously, I'm skipping ahead. She wasn't in there for any more than like 4 months. And I was like, hey, you need to quit. And then she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you need to quit because I was doing Verizon. So talk about side hustle and why I think you can't
Right.
spread yourself, right?
Mhm.
So I was doing Verizon, but then all the traction I got from social media, people were constantly asking me for help. Excuse me, on credit. So because they're like, I mean, I posted everything. I posted the letters I was using, the scores that went up, playing with my credit card balance. I posted everything. So I'd get DMs all the time. Hey, I'm trying to get my credit right for whatever situation. Can you help me? So I'm over here getting people to, buy new phones and whatever and up in their bill when they came in to lower it. And I started, and I think it's as you get older, I started to get this like moral compass of like, man, this shit just doesn't feel good anymore.
Right.
And but then when I was getting the results and the outreaches from people that were able to buy cars, get homes, get out of situations because I just gave them this information, they applied it and it worked, and I'm like, "Ooh, this feels better. I like this." So I sold the store and I got really busy. I went all in with it. Theano could tell you, man, I was sitting in this lazy boy that we had in our room, this like super comfy chair, and I would be in that shit for like 14 hours a day,
Oh dang.
every day, obsessing over the information,
Get
how
lost.
everything works,
Right.
how to get compliant, how to figure out how to explain things, how to open up the business, how to like everything. So then I'm figuring out the industry, all of it. So again, it was about like 4 months into it and we were super, super busy. Well, I was. And then I'm like, yo, you need to quit.
What you said that you had that feeling like when you know that you're just not feeling it anymore. A lot of people, even like myself, I felt that before, felt that many times,
Mhm.
right? What made you make that decision to jump?
So I started to learn that you got to pay attention to your body. Right. And your body will tell you things like energy and vibrations and things are real. So like if somebody walks in a room and your energy gets down, that's your body telling you like, don't do it, don't get
yeah.
involved, right? But then in the same aspect, you come across somebody and like if you get motivated or you feel good or you ever have that time you speak to somebody and after you finish telling them something, you're like, damn, I don't usually talk about that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right? That's your body naturally feeling good, saying this is a good person or whatever, right?
Right.
So that feeling that I'm talking about was when I got a phone call from a guy, which was part of the reason why we actually moved to San Antonio. One of our clients that came across, he was talking to Theano because she was like getting used to it and she was taking some clients while still working at the bank to transition out, but she wanted her cushion and stuff. So we're helping this dude. He had a 2014 Silverado. He was in construction. He cheated on his wife.
Mm.
He made all the money, but he put everything in her name. Well, he knew that he fucked up. So the only good thing this dude did was like, you keep everything. I'll figure out my own life. Sorry for fucking up yours. So he would get his paycheck and he'd be like in an Airbnb, but then as the funds would go low, he would swap to an hotel. Then he would go from a hotel to going into his truck when he'd run out of money because he'd run out of money before the next paycheck. So he'd sleep a couple nights in the truck. I'll never forget this dude, man. He would sleep a couple nights in the truck, and the only other thing he was paying for was a LA Fitness gym membership where he'd go take a shower and watch his clothes and shit. So he got through it. I was showing him what to do. He had money saved up. He started getting money together, and he had money saved up, and he was trying to jump the gun, and he wanted to go into an apartment. And he even offered them, I will pay for the entire apartment for the whole year now.
Wow.
But because of his credit, still couldn't get it.
Still couldn't do that.
Right?
Wow,
so then he was like, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? I'm like, dude, just trust the process. Like, you're already embracing the suck. Just keep going through it and be patient. Follow the plan. It will work.
Yeah.
Couple months goes by. The dude gets into the apartment. They allow him to pay in full. And it was not the same one. He got a super nice apartment. And I don't even think he really needed all that, but he was happy to be able to get it. The dude's not living in his truck anymore. He's not bouncing from place to place. He's showering in an actual shower, not with like a bunch of other dudes. And so it's those small things that you kind of forget that you would take for granted, or if you've never been in the situation, you don't know. So when he came back to me as another man that was emotional about man, I forgot what it was like to sleep in my own bed and to just turn AC on and to have these basic things. That was the switch. So that was I'm selling the store, I'm out. I want to recreate that as much as possible, because that felt better than having someone coming in saying, "Oh, my phone's broken," and then convincing them to pay an extra $30 a month, which over time, even at 0%, is like $1,200, $1,500, $1,800 for a phone they didn't really need.
Yep,
So that's what I'm talking about.
That's crazy, man. Because a lot of people don't find that, either whether they go through it or they don't find that itch or that story to want to get them to push themselves to do that. I could be one to I slept in my car for like 6 months. I didn't want to go live back at my parents' house. I didn't want to go, I even stayed with a buddy for a little bit, but I think that was the best thing I could have ever done for myself. Because now I never want to ever feel that again.
Because you know how it feels to be down and out.
Oh yeah, man. And I think if I would have never went through that, I mean, one, I don't think we had talked about it. I probably wouldn't be here. And then also just man, it made me want to push even harder with everything that I do every day. It's crazy shit, man.
I really believe those people that have those life experiences with struggle and heartache, they're the strongest ones.
Yep.
And some just curl up in the fetal position and they give up. But those ones that are resilient and rise up above the freaking ashes, those are the guys I want on my side.
Yep. Because they've been there. They've done that. They know what it feels like. And like he said, hey, I know how much it sucked, and I will do everything in my power to never go back to that. Because you actually experienced it. Losing
sucks, but it makes you better.
Yep.
Oh yeah, man.
Yep. Here's a really good question, actually, kind of to that. So I'd be curious on your answer. So it goes kind of like this. Would you I just want to make sure I say it right, because I don't want to fuck this up. It was it's so simple once I say it, but it's very specific.
Yeah.
Do you love to win or hate to lose? What do you think is more powerful, and what do you feel? Is it the love to win or hate to lose? Because those are two different motivations.
Man, they are two different motivations. I fucking hate to lose. I'm a competitor. And we talked about this before about competition.
Yep.
I'm a competitor within my own realm. Because if I feel, I don't have OCD or anything like that sometimes, but I feel if I let people down or failed in something, I can't sleep at night.
Yep.
And I keep thinking about that loss and how to get better. But when you just constantly winning all the time, hell, I love to win, but sometimes you get complacent and you're like, I'm good. But when you hate to freaking lose, that makes you stronger. And that's just my perspective. What do you got, J. Ron?
I like it. Yeah. No.
So this is tough because
it is.
I'm a coach. I coach basketball. So my younger athletes, like 5th, 6th graders, right now, I'm literally tell them we're new. Some of you are new. Learning is winning. I mean, losing is you're going to lose. You're going to win. That's part of the game. But when you learn, you're winning. So when do you usually learn? When you lose. You know what I mean? So that's kind of something that I not only preach myself for so many years, but to my younger kids. Now, my older kids, it's like you're older, you're wiser in a way as a kid. So it's always about winning. Well, I think that was kind of like the thing in my head too, was like you had to win to be successful. You know, growing up with pro wrestling and, you know, you had to win, you know. So the big part of me is personally now going through that was different from what I preach is I really hate to lose, but I kind of like it sometimes. I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? Now,
It's a lesson learned.
In business and things like that, yes. You know, personally, things like that, I'm like, I take it pretty hard when I lose. You know what I mean? But business and things like that, I'm like, okay, I lost, cool. Let's learn from this shit and let's not go back here again. So that's a really good one, man. That's a really good
That's
one.
why you want to fuck it up.
It could go both ways.
So I would say, and I've heard this before, you've heard it 100 times too, you either win or you learn. You never lose unless you quit.
Yep.
Quitting is losing because you're just giving up. And you never, if you don't shoot, you don't score. I say that shit all the time too.
Yep. Which is why in the beginning when you said what makes you different, I said I don't give up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you're always shooting.
Right. It doesn't mean I don't lose. Right. Like, dude, I have losses all the time. But like I learn from them. And I'm the person I hate to lose. So like I don't know what it is. Like, man, like I don't want to say sore loser because how I identify a sore loser is like then you start hating on the people that win.
Yeah.
Right. So like I'm not a sore loser in the aspect like I get on myself. I'm my worst critic. So I'm like, man, did I lose because I was fucking lazy over here or because I missed this or because I thought I knew it all?
You critique yourself constantly.
You know? Yeah. So that's why I'm a hate to lose person because I know if I lost, it is nobody else's fault but mine. And if you're ever 100% honest with yourself, anytime you've ever lost something, you can backtrack it to the thing you didn't do that really caused the loss.
Yep.
And that's taking self-accountability.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't take self-accountability. They want to play the blame game and blame this and blame scenarios. No, it's you.
Yeah. 100% of the time.
We control more than we freaking know.
Yep.
Decision making and just when you start up in the morning, you've heard that Admiral before.
Yep.
Make your bed.
Yeah.
Right. And if you don't, consequences happen because it sets your mindset, you know, at ease. No, you should always be. To me, I'm always on edge. I'm always got my head on a swivel. I'm always looking around. But I always commend people like you and like others that we're going to have on our show later on. To me, I look at you as a passionate, furious guy. You're relentless, man. And I love that. I love watching you and just watch. So you had the social media boot camp recently. And you and Theano and others, I don't want to, discount the whole team.
It was all group effort.
But you were one of the main figureheads in this, you and Theano and others. And so you had at least 300 people, I believe, and
total was just over 450.
450, shit.
Yeah.
So
that was a big room. So that's
I don't know how much time you had to plan, but you brought 450 leaders, people that were entrepreneurs, influencers, all kinds of people. You brought them over into this big ballroom, and you led the way and said, "Hey, guys, you can be better with social media because today social media is everything. Hell, we're on social media. This show's going to be on social media.
Yep.
And if you're a business owner not utilizing social media, shame on you.
You're an idiot.
Foul on you. Yeah, you're an idiot. Okay, dumbass, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Okay, all right." So tell us about that social media event, and you're going to have another one coming up.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
So the idea, it wasn't even our idea, so I'm not going to take credit for it. So Victoria Taylor, she was the one, I was teaching a social media class at a mortgage company, and she just happened to be in attendance. After that class, she's like, "Hey, can I borrow you for a minute?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, what's up?" "Hey, I was really thinking I want to put something together, but I want to make it big. I don't want to fuck around and do a 20, 30 person class. I'm going to do some big shit." And I'm like, "I like big shit." Right. So like, you're speaking my language. What's up? She's like, "Can we take this, but could we make it bigger?" I said, "Yeah." From that conversation to the day of social media boot camp was exactly 30 days.
Wow. That's awesome, man.
See, all these brains got together, these motivated people, had a plan, had a goal.
Yep.
And I think you guys exceeded any kind of expectations and goals.
Yeah.
You were probably thinking 100 people.
Yeah. I mean, so it was a little bit higher just because my basis or my template was back December 6th when I did that event at Casaba. where I brought in the recently retired head of TransUnion. And I was like, hey guys, look, it doesn't get any closer to the source than this guy. There we had 186 people. So I said, if we're going to do something like this, I wanted to get as close to doubling it as possible. And I figure between our network and Victoria's network, hey, we're known for doing classes and pouring into the community. This is no different. We're just doing it on a bigger scale so we can touch more people, because then it's a bigger wave and a bigger impact. Because if 186 people took what we did and ran with it, imagine the waves that would be created in the real estate market if 450 people implemented everything that we taught that day.
You'd be at the damn Alamo Dome.
Right. So that was the whole concept. It was like, hey, everybody's asking us for social media stuff. Every time I do these private social media classes, the room is packed. So clearly there's a demand for it. How can we help contribute back? But the main part of it, if you noticed or if you remember, I didn't wear anything James Warren Group. I didn't wear anything Dispute Eagle, because what I didn't want this to be is to put everybody in a ballroom to pitch them. That wasn't the concept. It was to genuinely 100% give them my entire playbook, make sure that everybody who was participating as a speaker did the same thing, and none of us represented our company. So that way it wasn't like, oh, you're going to give me some stuff in exchange for now I send you business.
Right.
I didn't pitch James Warren Group. I didn't talk about credit repair. I didn't do any of that. It was 100% give back to everybody who showed up. Again, just because that's the right thing to do. In my mind, I look at it like this. In my almost 3 years, because in July it'll be 3 years that we've officially lived in Texas. In my almost 3 years, the real estate community has taken care of my family. So it's my obligation to find a way to give back to them at the masses for the things that I've done, right? Because I don't want to be just a taker. There's always going to be give and take. But if it's just take, that's not good karmatic practices. Right. To me, I have to give, which is why I do classes all the time. I mean, dude, I did a class today. And then as soon as I was done with the class, I ran home. I ate like half a bowl of Chipotle because I was like, fuck, this is 40 minutes. I got to go over to New Braunfels, and then start driving over here, and was on a call to help somebody else on the way here, and then popped in here to do this. And I do this every single day.
That's awesome.
Because I get so much from the community, but if I only take, I won't be able to sleep at night. There's just that moral compass I've built over time does not allow me to just take from people and not give back. So I do it in the form of education and classes and stuff like that.
And I think people look at you as disingenuous, and they see, hey, he's not in it for me. He's in it for himself, or in it for a hidden agenda or whatever. So that is the value and the impact that you leave with people. People leave. So after that event, people were leaving like, holy shit, I can utilize Google. I can utilize Facebook.
Yep. Facebook, Instagram,
Twitter,
TikTok, branding, Google My Business, AI. I mean, we were covering everything.
Covered everything. And you had experts talking about each subject, and they were open for communication and question and answers and all that. I loved it. And I can't wait to see what you have in store for us later on in the future.
We're thinking around fall time. We'll do another one at that capacity. Right now, I mean, by the time this airs, you're going to hear me say tomorrow, but I don't know how quick it goes up. So if you're watching this after May 19th, the shit already happened. But so tomorrow, in continuance of Social Media Bootcamp. Now, remember, everybody who paid for their ticket, they went to the event. There's your value.
Yeah.
But what we wanted to do, different, is we created that Facebook group where we were still dropping gems, and it's only, accessible to people who bought a ticket and participated. So there's continued value on there. Well, tomorrow, we got access to a listing. It's a $1.6 million listing, because some of the feedback we were getting from people is, I want to create content, but the excuses that they use, because they're like, oh, I get it now. I can do this. You taught me. Thank you. Knowledge ain't the power, the execution is. So, hey, I know everything now, but they still haven't executed.
Right.
So the excuse is usually my hair ain't done right, or, I didn't put my face on today, or I don't like how I sound on a mic. I don't like my voice, or, I don't have the right lighting. I don't have the audio. I don't have whatever. So we're taking away all of those excuses.
Crutches. Yep.
And we're bringing inside this $1.6 million home, we set up different stations where the participants of Social Media Bootcamp are going to show up. We have the video crew. We're going to show them also on their phone how to do things. And that's the day they're coming. Bring multiple changes of clothes if you want. Bring a fucking brush and a blow dryer or whatever. I don't care. Do whatever it is that you want to do.
That's awesome.
We're going to take away all the excuses. We got the lighting. We got the audio. And we're going to put you in different parts of the house. And you're going to learn how to do this shit. And then we're going to show you how to edit it. So that way you can start posting.
And you're going to start making videos,
Right
speaking.
Right there.
People are scared shitless of speaking on a phone.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
Or in front of people. I think they're more afraid of talking on a phone than they are in front of an audience.
Which blows my mind.
Yeah. That was my question for you, Dylan. Where did you learn to gain the confidence to talk the way you talk, man? I was there at the boot camp.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a great event, man.
So, and thank you. When it comes to speaking like on those topics or in any topic, I only speak about things that I've done and that I fully know in and out. So I will never claim to know everything because I don't. If I thought I knew everything, I would have been the one teaching all of the subjects and all the classes that day.
Yeah.
I know what I know what I don't know, and I stay in my lane. So if you ask me anything in regards to my covers of the social media aspect, credit, phones, cars, or even the AI situation, like the things that I do are the things that I teach. So I won't teach on a topic where it's going to be regurgitated information from a quick video that I've watched.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of only learning from people that have the receipts to show me that what they're telling me they're doing. Because that's what I said, like the knowledge is in power, it's in the execution of doing it. So I speak in the way that I do because I've been speaking for years. So it's putting in the reps over time and realizing when I sound dumb or I say something stupid or whatever, like I correct myself. And like that's another thing with Thieno and me. So sometimes I think I'm my biggest critic, but she's really the even bigger critic to me than I am for myself. But it's always been a good way because I don't have an ego attached to what I do. I know I'm not perfect and I would never try to play like I am. So sometimes I'll do classes and when she's able to attend, I'm like, fuck yeah, I crushed this shit. And she's like, you said a lot this time. And I'm like, yeah, but everybody loved it. She's like, yeah, but you did. I'm like,
well, you know what? She's trying to make you better.
Right.
That's at the end of the day, she is making you better.
Right. Which is why I love it. So I'm open to it and being open-minded and understanding I don't have all the answers and taking criticism and different perspectives from other people has allowed me to get myself to be better today than what I was in the past.
So you're a student. And that's what I love about J-Rock. This guy's a student. I always say that.
Yeah.
He takes feedback well. There's sometimes I give him feedback.
Yep.
And it's not always the best feedback that he wants to hear. But there's sometimes I tell him, and what I love about this guy is he takes it and he says, you know what? You're right. I need to do this or do that.
It's required.
Yeah.
If you want to win, it's absolutely required. You can't do it by yourself. If you think you know everything, okay, you're right. You're right. You know fucking everything. And then you're only going to do things one way. You're never going to improve because you think you're right.
Right.
Right. So it's like, I ain't going to argue with you. Oh, you know everything? Man, fucking good for you. Hopefully I accomplish that one day.
I learned that in pro wrestling quick, man. Dylan, I used to run a pro wrestling company.
Oh, that's cool.
And which is why I'm so much in wrestling, by the way. But I was young, man. I was 21, and I'm in a locker room with guys that have been wrestling in San Antonio all over Texas for, 15 years. And I understood that quickly. Like, I can't be the guy that thinks I know it all just because I run this place.
Yep.
And I took criticism. Yeah. That's you. Yeah. And I took a lot of criticism because I had it easy, going in there. And that's what made me even realize even now, like, you probably have some young guys or young, youngsters, because I saw a lot of youngsters in that room that night. Yeah. They're trying to learn to get better. And I had to find that right place. And you mentioned earlier, like, I think you're like saying like how you take in the criticism and what you do with it. I was just smart. I don't know how I got it, but I was just like, okay, I'll take it. And I'll accept it the way it comes in sometimes because that's what apparently makes you better. And it was a guessing game for me because I didn't know if it was going to work, but here I am with an open mind and so many doors and so many places that I was able to, people that I've been able to meet, relationships, huge, for us as relationships, as for what we do.
And even with the open mind, not everybody sees an open mind. So like the hardest part for me, and I still work on it. The hardest part for me is I'm trying to learn how to be more approachable. Right. For people to feel that they can tell me the truth.
Because they say people look at you and this guy's intense.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
So Johnny's telling me about you, right? Before we go out there to go set up the day before.
I said, this guy's intense.
I was like,
ready.
He's intense. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, hell yeah. Like,
but in a good way.
Energy. Yeah. I love energy, So like we got there and you were very welcoming. Just the way you were talking to everybody else, I was like, Johnny, you're right, man. This guy's a good guy. I like the way he talks. And then I looked you up on social media. I was like, oh, this guy's he's got it. I already felt, like you said earlier, you already know when you feel a good person. I felt that out of you because of everything that you're doing for everybody else.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
See, babe, I told you I'm working on it. Thank you. Yeah, so that, and that's a thing that took a while. So I look at everything as like a skill, and that's a skill that I'm trying to develop, right? To constantly be more welcoming and be more opening, because when I would first start doing classes, and I'm sure you guys, when you teach classes and help people, you get it, when I teach a class, because of my intensity level, it's because I'm giving everything.
Yeah.
Everything I got comes out of what I'm doing. So by the time I'm done, whether it's 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, when I'm done, I'm physically drained.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm super extroverted. But when I get tired, I'm like, fuck the world, man. I'm not doing nothing. Don't talk to me.
So when you get home, you get kind of submissive, is what you're saying?
Oh, yeah.
So Theano takes control, and then she's the decision maker at that point. I'm the same exact way.
Usually until about like 7, 8 o'clock, because then she gets tired. Right. And then that's where my second wind comes in. And then I'm sitting here spitting shit to her about like ideas. And she's knocked the fuck out. She's sleeping because she had an exhausting day doing the even harder job than what I do. Like, I feel like what I do is super easy. She handles the kids and makes sure that the house is good and taking care of Dominic, which is about to be 2. And like, man, that dude got more energy than all of us combined. And, she's got to put up with him breaking shit. I mean, she was texting me earlier. We got these slushies last night and she didn't finish hers. She knocked out whatever. She was texting me. She's like, oh, he's being bad again. So when he gets mad, he looks for something and just knocks it the fuck over. and then just looks at you like, what?
What are you going to do?
Like, what?
He's testing you.
Yeah.
What's up?
and it was like, you ain't going to do shit anyway. And he knows it too. So he's like, whatever. So I always say she has like the harder job than I do. But again, going back to the main point. So it takes skill to say, okay, I'm drained, but I'm not going to show it. And I'm going to spend the extra 15, 20, 30 minutes after the class to talk with people because they gave me their time.
Right.
And I have to be respective of that and understanding of they could have been anywhere, but they put their butt in that seat for me to go pour into them. So they're actually doing me more of a service than I'm doing for them because they allow me to fulfill the obligation and the purpose of what I want to do by attending. And so when I started switching those things, that's what I'm constantly working on. So I always go back to, if you ever say like, how do you do this? How do you do this? I'm always going to bring it back to a skill. So I feel like if you never give up and you're constantly working on a skill set, like whatever things you think you lack at the moment. So for example, if you're like, man, my patience does not exist. This is going to sound so overly simple, but it's the reality. If you don't have patience, do the things that require patience. Go put yourself in positions where you're required to test your patience. And I was talking to my mom about this too. If you don't have a good memory, do the things that require you to exercise that memory muscle or that patience muscle or that discipline muscle. Whatever is the reason you tell yourself, oh, I'm not good at this, which is why like I don't have this skill or I don't have this asset to myself, which is why I can't do better there. That's the excuse. There's a skill set that you can work on to develop and exercise to get better at that thing. But when you say, oh, well, I'm not that kind of person or I don't have that, you're fucking losing.
So do you believe you're that anybody can learn anything, basically, if they really, really wanted to?
If they wanted to, yes.
Yeah.
If they wanted to. but not kind of want it. Like they got really fucking want it.
Right?
Like you really didn't want to sleep in that car 7 months.
Yeah.
Right. So you were in there for 6 months and you're like, month number 7, I'm sleeping in my own fucking bed.
Yep.
I'll figure it out. And you did it.
Yeah.
So, like, hey, first couple months, you're like, whatever, I fucking feel bad for myself and, everything's bad and whatever. Once you get past that, there comes a time and a point where you really want it. So once people find what I really want to change this situation, when they get fucking serious about it. Like, I mean, there's a couple people in real estate too that, have really good stories of like, yo, I was 300 pounds. And I'm like, how? Like, you look great. And they're like, yeah, I know, but let me tell you about it. And, what was that day that you switched?
Yeah.
So, and I'm very lucky because Theano and I have a lot of those conversations where she's like, yeah, you think that class was good, but let me tell you where you fucked up. And, so it's at first I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you ain't up there doing it. And she's like, I don't need to be. I'm in the audience, the same people judging you. I'm like, shit.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, because this dude over here said, man, he's saying I'm too much, or that was bullshit what he was saying.
Yeah, but because I have this really burning, what's the right word I'm looking for? I don't want to say like passion.
Desire?
But like,
vision?
Like, because I have a really burning desire to want to find out who I am at my full potential, I became more open to no matter what it is, no matter how negative it is, whether I think it's true or not, I'm like, what if they are right? And I'm over here just letting my ego say, no, I'm the only one with the answer.
Right.
Check yourself.
You got to self-analyze.
And I'll go and I'll listen. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try it and figure it out. I'm going to try it and I'm going to do it a little bit different. Because if I would have did a social media boot camp like 3 years ago and you saw me, you wouldn't have had that same perspective.
Really?
Yeah. Not that I was a bad person, but you wouldn't have got that same feeling because I would be so exhausted and constantly burned out from always doing classes and then putting out fires of, what's happening with the staff and upset customers and whatever, like whatever's happening, right? All the day in life stuff.
Yeah.
I used to let that affect me. I can hide it for a while, but then I would just completely drain and not show, and I would show it. Like the class would end and you'd be like, damn, I want to ask him something, but he kind of looks pissed off.
Yeah.
Like,
damn.
You know what I mean? So
that's crazy that you say that because I just got told that the other day too. Like I'm mentoring this girl right now and coaching her, and I can already feel like she's getting that vibe. But just like you also said, like I bring intense when I coach. Like I drop the F-bomb. There's things that I feel that I bring that out of the kids sometimes, because of I bring the intensity. If I have that intensity, then I expect them to work out hard and bring that same thing. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's kind of true, man. That's good that you found that among yourself to know that you had to change that too, man. So awesome.
Dylan, we talked a lot about strengths. What's your weakness, man? You mentioned something, patience, frustration sometimes. What's your weakness that you really need to work on?
Understanding that not everybody thinks like me.
Okay.
Not everybody thinks like me. So what I mean by that is when I process a thought, it's obviously different than the way that you guys process a thought. So somebody will give me an idea and I understood through repetition that I will fuck up the way through the idea and we'll figure out how to make it good. So whether it's a business idea, hey, I was thinking about doing this. My immediate answer is, all right, let's do it. And I'm talking about like, let's do it right now. Right? I mean, that's how social media boot camp happened.
Right.
She pulled me after the class. It was, technically it was 29, but we'll call it 30. From 30 days from that message of, I have this idea. We have a whole ballroom with 450 people in it and 70-something people streaming live with a whole camera crew set up, having all the slides done, all these speakers interviewed to make sure they have the receipts, ordering all the bags, the 20-foot banners, the stuff to drop in, get all the sponsors done.
There's a lot.
Because, hey, was it the best event ever? Nope. Was it pretty good? Yep. But guess what? Fall will be a lot better.
Right.
But it all came from when the idea came to me. I don't think about the what if anymore. I'm like, hey, it sounds good enough. Like, let's figure it the fuck out. I like the idea. I like the concept. We'll go through it and whatever. So when I have an idea or I want to do something, or when people talk to me about their ideas, I'm very pushy to make them execute. because I don't want them to get that window of time to start doubting themselves and then they don't do
Or
it.
get complacent.
Right.
Complacency is the worst.
Right. So I would say that's probably my biggest weakness, that I think that everybody is at the same mental toughness or capacity as me, and that people will execute at the same rate. So I get upset when they don't. So that would be it. And in efforts, that's why I do these classes, and I'm throwing around a lot of the terms of, and you'll see it in all my posts, even the one I made before I came here. My goal here is to make people better. Not saying everybody has to be like me, but a better version of themselves to find out, what their potential is. I want to be the person that pushes them to where, like, hey, I don't fucking like you because I don't like that you keep doing this to me. I mean, think about like with previous jobs or previous teachers, that one teacher you hated is probably the one who kept you the most accountable.
Right.
The one manager or boss you hated over everybody else was the one who made you toe the line harder than anybody else. The person who pushes you the hardest is the one you wind up not liking. So you get to the other side of it and then you realize, fuck, I don't want to give them credit, but they were right.
Yeah.
They got me where I am.
Those tough parents.
Right.
The ones that get on your ass when you get bad grades.
Yep.
To me, those are the best parents. And those parents that, oh, no, it's okay. Try again.
Like, all right, you're fucking your kid up for the real world, because the real world ain't got to do that shit.
Right.
It ain't going to be, oh, you had this assignment to do for work and, oh, you didn't get it done by the deadline. It's okay. It's now. Go get another fucking job.
Life's going to get on your ass.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's a whole nother. Oh,
yeah, that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, stop being weak fucks.
So you have a lot of roles, man.
Yeah.
You're a dad.
Yeah.
You're a son.
Yep.
Business owner, husband.
Yep.
What's your toughest one, your toughest role, and what's your most rewarding?
They fluctuate. So sometimes the hardest one is being the dad, and that's when I'm all in on the business. Like, for perfect example, even today, as soon as I got home after that class, I picked up my son. He was so happy to see me. We were hanging out for like a whole 15 minutes. And then I dipped because I had the next thing to do.
Yep.
So sometimes it's that. And then other times when I'm all in with the family, the hardest part is being the business owner, because I got to snap out of the laziness and the enjoying the time. And I'm super lucky that my wife and my kids get it. Like, we don't have arguments or disagreements, because the tone was set of like, hey, sometimes I'm going to barely be around for like 2-3 weeks at a clip. But I promise after that, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to have me so much that you want me to go back. You know what I'm saying? So, all of the roles have their difficulties. It depends on what I'm doing at the moment. So if I'm all in on business, being a dad is the hardest, because that's what I wind up wanting to do when I'm in the middle of work. I'm like, man, nothing beats just fucking waking up to my kid and, hey, maybe his little ass foot is in my throat or in my face, but like, I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Right.
That's when I'm in the hotel room traveling somewhere else to go do a class somewhere else. But then like when I'm home, I'm like, man, we just got a notification that this client's really upset, and I'm doing family time right now, and fuck, like, is my whole business gonna shut down because of this?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have like that, I live in that fear of, which I feel like is necessary. Like, I live in that fear of, hey, this one bad situation, oh, I'm gonna fucking lose everything. Like that's just how I operate. Whether that's good or healthy or not, I don't know.
That was
but like,
scary, bro.
I can definitely relate to that too.
But like it doesn't matter. Like, dude, we enroll so many clients, we help so many families, that the reality is, if one person's pissed off, is that gonna shut my business down? No. But I tell myself that anyway, and I truly believe it, because that's what gets me to get up when I don't want to. That's what makes me want to do the call on the way here, rather than spending that same 30 minutes to say, let me call Theano and let me go on video chat and talk with Dominic since I just left.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm going to go solve this, and then I'm going to get this done. But guess what? Now I know from this drive to go pick up my son and get his haircut, now I'm going to call her and call him and still get to do the same thing. So it's finding, and I hate the word, I don't even like saying balance. That's a whole nother thing. But I find how to, I guess balance it. I'll think
prioritize.
Yeah, prioritize. Yeah.
So I got a question for both of y'all. This got to be the last question as well, before we close out. Y'all both have very I respect both y'all's wives, and obviously they respect y'all and what y'all do and stuff. Because of that, like somebody that, because hear this a lot, and maybe because of my age and I see this, but like their significant other or their wives, they're separating nowadays because you're working too hard.
Huh?
You work too hard is what they say or whatever. How do you keep that balance, and how do you explain that to somebody that might be going through that? Like you're a hardworking man. How do you keep it all together in a way? You know?
I'll start off and I'll let you end.
Yeah.
So my wife is all in. She knew in the beginning that I'm a hustler. I'm a hard worker. I give my whole heart and soul into what I'm trying to accomplish. Whether it's a small project, something with the kids, something with a client, I'm all in. I hate not being able, and hate's a strong word, but I hate not being able to fulfill my obligations. In any role I'm in my business, I'm a guy in branding. The brand is everything, and it's everybody who I'm affiliated with is on this playing field with me. So I like to hold everybody accountable, and my wife is all in with me. So in the very beginning, when I was in the military, uh, I was a military training instructor. I had to work 15 to 16 hours a day, and she was all in with me. Then I went into recruiting. I was working 10 to 12 hours a day. She was all in. So I knew I had a companion and a soulmate. We've gone through so much, and she's been there with me, and she knows So what you were saying earlier about being with the kids and you get that phone call, or being with a client and you get the phone call from the kids. You just gotta be able to prioritize. But she's all in there. She understands. If we're on vacation, I'm gonna have my phone and my laptop with me because I still have to make sure shit's getting done. Now, I try not to be a micromanager.
Right.
But I still have to have the trust and validation. I still got to validate. And that's what I learned in the military. Trust, but validate. But my wife is all in with me, man. And there's no other person I'd rather spend my life with than with that woman.
Yep.
So
Agreed. Man, I got to follow that up.
yeah.
Nah. So very similar. We had the understanding, hey, don't look at balance as a day by day. Don't look at balance as a week by week. Don't look at a balance as a month by month or even a year by year. If you can look at balance as your whole lifespan, from the day you were born to whatever day you're going to die, which none of us know, there's going to be days that I have to go into the business because if something happens, I need to make sure you guys are taken care of. I don't want you to have to then go back out in the work world or the workforce or whatever, and be one of those people that, oh, my husband passed and he was the main breadwinner. And so now I got to go back. Nope, I'm not doing it. And I need you to understand that one of my obligations is to make sure you guys are taken care of to the day I can't do it. And since I don't know when that day is, there's going to be some days and weeks and months that go by that it's going to seem like I'm neglecting you, but I'm not. And if you can take care of the kids and take care of the house, I'll insert myself as much as I can because trust me, I want to be there. And we had that understanding from the beginning. So there's days where it's like, man, I'm gone for a couple days and I'm going to different states, but we're talking all the time and I'm always checking in, making sure everything's okay. And we always talk to each other. Now, whoever's watching, I don't know whether you believe it or don't believe it. I don't give a shit. But the cool thing is in the time we've been together, we've never had a full-blown argument because the communication was always open.
Wow.
We were always honest with each other. We never had a screaming match. We were never going back and forth because we both set the expectations, understood as we would get to different levels, those expectations would change. And like when I started, I was like, oh no, I'm going to do this so then I can work less. And then no, when we get here, I'm going to work less. But the reality is it's not. It's going to keep going. So at the end of the day, you got to be honest and open that communication aspect with whoever your significant other is, if that's the advice.
Yeah.
Be open and honest with them. Don't set an expectation that's not real. And we don't always know what the outcome's going to be, but if you start seeing the trajectory of what you said start to become untrue, you need to speak up when you notice it. And I think the main reason people get separated is not because the person works too much. It's about what happens when they come home. I think there's so many other things that underlie between there.
That's absolutely true, man.
So, they can say, well, you work too much and you're never around. No, the reason that he or she feels lonely is because even when you are home, you neglect them like you're not there.
Yeah, still feel alone.
So.
Mm-hmm. That's some good shit, right, bro?
You know what I see in you and Theano? You guys are interchangeable. In everything you do, you have you and her. And that's the same way we run our business and our relationship. If you don't find me, you'll find her, and she'll be doing the exact same thing that I'm doing.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I see a lot of successful couples, you know what I mean? And the one thing that I've enjoyed being around some of the groups that, the friends that we hang out with, is every so fucking happy, man. And that brings me joy. I mean, they joke sometimes about me being single and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I'm just learning.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. I'm learning from y'all right now because I tried all this shit and I was that guy, and maybe it was her because I'm still doing my thing, and that's why I'm like, fuck it. And that's why I love to ask those questions, man, because I want to be there one day. You know what I mean? And just like y'all are in business, I want to be there one day there too. But it takes all that to, again, see the happiness out of it all.
You have to constantly be working on yourself to be the person who deserves the person you want.
Nah.
So.
Damn.
Yeah. Let that sink in for a second. You got to constantly be working to become the person in order to get the person that you want. So being single, not saying you're a bad person, whatever. Obviously, I don't know a ton, but whoever it is that you think is your perfect person, and this goes for anybody, whoever you think your perfect person is, think about who that person of that caliber, which usually is a higher standard of person, right? Because we want top of the top. Whatever your top of the top is, don't think about the hunt. Think about, am I of the same standard and quality to earn somebody like that? And if you're honest with yourself, there's something you can improve, and you'll naturally attract that person and they'll gravitate to you once you become that person and develop that magnet.
Yeah.
So that's deep, man.
That is, man. That's why I'm fucking still here by myself.
It's like freaking Gandhi or something over here.
No, but that's absolutely true, though, man. And I think, Johnny's kind of been telling me, he's been my encouragement lately. He's just like, he's telling me that I'm changing. I love that. I'm hearing it from other people too, and I love
that's
that.
Good.
I'm still, there's things that I'm not happy with about still, but I'm changing.
J-Rock was raw, and he's becoming not so raw. I don't know if that's even the right phrase, but hey, I love it. I love you leveling up.
Sure, yeah.
So today's podcast sponsor is Top Flight Realty Group. You can find them in San Antonio, topflightrealtygroup.com. These guys are awesome. They lead with trust, faith, and confidence to get your real estate goals met. Dylan, it's been great having you.
Thanks, man.
J-Rock, thank you for being the engineer.
Yes, sir.
We had a lot of deep conversations today. We can have another spin-off podcast with a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
But thank you. Thanks for what you do. You do make a difference. You do make an impact on the lives of others, and you're very resourceful. So I can't thank you enough for coming all the way out here.
Appreciate it.
And chopping it up with us, mixing it up. I love that.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So where can we find you?
Best way, I do social media, right? So the two platforms where if you really want to actually get connected, I would say go to Facebook. So you type in Dylan Shively. And then for TikTok, it is @YourCreditGuy. I'm always dropping a lot of things in there. Those are the two platforms I'm probably the most active on. So I would say either Facebook or TikTok.
Awesome. So if you're interested on coming on the podcast, reach out to us, socialplugmedia.net. Once again, socialplugmedia.net, not .com. You can find us on all social media platforms. So Social Plug Media is the parent company. The Social Plug Podcast is the infant. And I think we're having a hell of a time. So with that said, J-Rock, do you have anything else?
Nothing else, man. Let's get out of here. Let's go kick some ass.
So ladies and gentlemen, you are now unplugged from the Social Plug Podcast. We'll talk to you soon.